I'm
Ta-da!
Deuce. I'm Deuce of Lightwave Digital. Here with we all know you as
Me.
Taron,
That is me.
the one and only. Oh my gosh, Taron, how long has it been?
Well, I sure feel like a blast from the past myself.
Well, I mean, when you stop and think about it, let's think. One of the things that some people might remember you from,
Mhm.
no, at least it's at least living in infamy, if not famously. That would be the Joy of Six.
Oh, yes, I
Yeah,
was.
no.
It pops to mind for some reason.
Sure does, doesn't it? Oh boy.
Yep.
so
Uh, Fond memories. I thought, oh my God, back then I had a certain idea about America that it was rather, let's say, a bit shy about these things. It was the joy of six. Oh my God. Well, yeah.
that was that was one of those marketing uh, that just I don't know. It struck a chord. Here it is. If we're I'm not even going to count the number of years because
28 or something like that, I
ooh,
think, roughly.
oh
It's like a
yeah,
long time ago.
long time
Was it
ago. But
1996? When was it? I forgot.
uh, maybe. But I
Yeah,
mean, we're still talking about it. It's still in people's minds, and I don't know.
memorable.
It is
Yeah.
quite memorable. Quite memorable. Um,
Yeah.
so so you've been at least with 3D for a number of years. I mean, here that was easy. That was 30 something, and
That's
um,
it's fair to say decades. Yeah.
so how did you get started in 3D? How did you when did you pick up the computer? I mean, were you an art student beforehand? Did have you done any?
Oh, oh no, I was a good old little geek. Started with C16 Commodore in when I was 14. And it was a very special memory for me because, my family, we weren't quite wealthy, to say the least. But at some point, my father and I watched a commercial on TV, and there was a Commodore 16, and he was like, "Hey, do you want one?" And I was like, "What?" So that's kind of when I started with a computer, and I did pixel graphics, and then during my school years, there was like a practical year, and I went to a company that would do back then computer-based training and stuff that was pre the term multimedia. Multimedia wasn't a term yet. And so at some point, then I saw they had some graphics there, but ugly. It's like, really, what did you really want to have there? And I was already pretty cocky there, thought I could do better. And so I did, and then from that moment on, I started professionally doing computer graphics, but pixel graphics. So from the age of 15 on, and then I think it must have been 19 or something like that, or 18, I don't know. And I saw in a little, like a what do you call that, a kiosk, like a little store for magazines,
Like a newsstand or something like
Yeah,
that.
like a newsstand, exactly. There you go, perfect. On a newsstand, I saw a magazine for the C60 for the Amiga then already. No, it was the Amiga. Yeah, exactly. And there was a magazine with reflections in there. Reflections was like a 3D software. I don't know if you remember that
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
cheap little thing. And I thought, oh wow, that looks interesting. And so I picked it up, and at that moment I was sold on the idea of doing stuff in 3D. Then since I already earned money, I could afford stuff, so I bought real 3D. And then only a while later, Lightwave came to Europe. And then I was completely freaked out. I was like, oh my God, that looks like the perfect tool. The price was right, and everything felt right. And I got myself Lightwave. And then I saw the roller coaster tutorial, if you remember that one,
Oh goodness.
on the subdivisions. I was like, oh my, that's my speed, yeah. And so, yeah, then from that moment on, I was all over Lightwave and fitted it also into my job, into the projects. But it was only like after I decided, oh, the internet. came at that time. It was pretty early still. And then there were 3D galleries, and I was like, "Oh, what am I going to do for a 3D gallery? It seems like fun." And that's why I made the Violet, the torso, the girl that
Uh-huh.
later became the Joy of Six, and with that. And yeah, so that's like in a very short nutshell, a little nutshell,
Right.
kind of like my 3D history there, the
No,
beginning.
I find it interesting that you started 2D, that you literally
Hmm.
started as a 2D pixel artist. So
Hmm.
you never did anything mixed media. You never clay sculpted or
Well, I did miniatures.
you did miniature. Okay,
Of
uh,
course, that was
sure.
when we were kids. We loved that stuff. The little tin figures. So we started to get like this milliput or whatever that stuff was, and then we started to sculpt little figures and stuff. So sculpting was something I loved doing, and the computer was much less dirty. So
Yeah, true
yay,
enough. True enough.
yeah.
I did similar myself. I've done everything from welding,
Whoa.
metal work and sculpting and uh, you know, uh, latex masks, slip
Yo.
casting, and the whole thing. So I mean, yeah, working in computers a lot, a lot cleaner. I don't
Yes.
not only
Well,
for
it takes us
your fingers, but your workstation itself, right?
Yeah. Well, the only thing it really takes away is sleep. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
I
Yeah.
grant you that one. Grant you that one.
Oh my God. When I just think back, I mean, yeah, I'm over 50 years old and I can't do this stuff anymore, like 3 days straight and stuff. When I
Well,
first ran into New Tech, that was in Germany, in Hanover at the CeBIT. And that was after 3 days of being up on the computer. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to CeBIT. And so I drove up for like, I don't know, 3.5 hours. In America, that's like no time whatsoever. And then for me as a kid in Germany, it was like, and totally without sleep, I drove up there. And then I met, you remember Chris Schreiner for sure, I suppose. That was her name
yeah,
back then. Yeah, at the new tech stand. And I think I tried showing some stuff. And yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. That was basically before the Joy of Six, exactly. Yeah. How did we get to it? I think. See, 50, 52.
yeah.
I remember nothing. Yeah. Yeah, but back then, yeah, I could work forever. And now I don't. Period.
I I get you.
Yeah, I stopped.
I
Yeah.
get you. So
Yeah.
a question then: how do you get your inspiration when you sit down and you say, "Okay, you know what? I'm staring at a blank computer screen. What is it that sparks your creativity? What how do you start? How would you start
Well,
an image?"
that is a very peculiar thing because similar to when I do anything, making music or anything like that, I just sort of channel. It's like just opening a channel and letting things flow. That's why what I do normally is everything I do is in a sense method based. So in other words, I play with a method of what I do with a technique and then let things happen. And it's actually pretty rare that I preconceive anything unless I
Really?
had to. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It just flows and see what happens. And
Now,
that's my.
if memory serves,
Mhm.
um, I think I recall you being one of the larger proponents of the box modeling method. Am I remembering right?
That would be my claim to fame, I suppose.
I
Although I
suppose.
never liked the term, the box modeling. What does that mean? Legos? Minecraft? Oh, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah.
for those
Sub-D modeling.
for those who
Yeah.
don't realize, if you take a box and you hit tab in Lightwave, it turns it
Oh,
into
yeah.
sub D. So that's how essentially the term box modeling. You start with a box and you just start cutting, slicing, moving, stretching, and it just starts from a box. So
Exactly. It's more or less extending and expanding and twisting and all that kind of stuff to get the geometry right. But it's this organic process
hmm
of
hmm
basically letting a geometry grow into shape. And that's actually where then when you work like that, where you draw your inspiration from, you can see things happen and you feel like, oh, mm, you know, sillily spoken. What if I turn this and whatever? But no, you start, something starts to happen and you can follow it and it keeps growing. And part of the method is it's kind of a strange thing because for me, I work a lot in a mindset of animation. So when I make a geometry, I also think of ways of how it moves, how would it deform.
Sure.
And that also both dictates, of course, the topology of it, but also its look, the model itself. So what do I want it to become? And in the beginning, of course, it was all like, oh, let's make a human face, and because it's the big benchmark. But pretty soon it became just whatever it becomes. Could be some creature, very easy, nothing to worry about. Oh my God, what the heck is that? And basically doodling in 3D, and box modeling is like the method to doodle in 3D, or used to be. To me, it still is. That's the whole point. That's why I'm so happy that I'm back,
right.
At least for now. But also in the meantime, things like Sculptris came along, of course, ZBrush, and then later Sculptris. And Sculptris itself is probably the ultimate really 3D clay modeling tool. This kind of method where you don't have to worry about a thing and just model, sculpt. But with a box modeling, and especially in Lightwave, you just feel like you have time. There's no rush. You can just carefully grow, let whatever your model emerge. And it's always a little bit of a journey, a bit of an adventure. You just discover what wants to come out.
Right. It's kind of an interesting thing, an interesting parallel, because a lot of your classic sculptors would talk about how they look at a block of marble and they say all you have to do is just remove what's not what you want, or a wood sculptor might look at the piece of wood and say, well, this shape, I feel like it's this, and you just start removing. And so it's a very personal thing with the material. And I find it interesting, that you talk about how, well, the shapes just come. It's just a natural extension when there is nothing there. I mean, you were talking about, digital, vertices and polygons and things, and yet it's actually you are flowing into the geometry to create the shapes as organically they're coming to you.
But the beauty is the interaction. It's like you're really interacting with the computer, with the software, with what's happening with the math behind it in some ways. It's this kind of, it becomes an intuitive collaboration. And that's what's so exciting about it. It's like, it's not just you and this thing is waiting for you to do something. That's why when you said, when you're looking at a blank canvas, there's never a blank canvas. It's basically like a seed, right, if you want. And then basically it comes from there. And then,
so how many different tools would you say you use? I get the sense that probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that's pretty close, one could say. Like normally, if I'm really enjoying myself, it would be 3. Yeah, because that would be, for example, Lightwave, ZBrush, and then back to Lightwave, and then in After Effects at the end. And then.
Well, no, what I'm talking about more is like,
what tools on what features am I using in Lightwave?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Well, that goes. I'm gonna do some new tutorials soon. That's funny. It gives me an opportunity. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's part of the reason for why we even, why we're now back together talking.
Yeah.
It's because I got so many requests over the years regarding my ancient tutorial, secrets of organic modeling. And I didn't even have it anymore. And so the last one was some artist from Turkey who's Semi. He just was so sweet. He was asking if I had it and whatever. And I asked him what his problem was, or what he wanted to know. Maybe I could make a little video for him. And he was all excited. And I was like, how much make a video if I don't have Lightwave anymore? And then we started. That was the whole thing, how it all came alive again. And then I had a 13-year hiatus from 3D altogether, except for Sculptress, which I occasionally would do a telephone doodle on. But I did no 3D for like 13 years. And so, okay, got Lightwave again. Thanks to you. And then I thought, oh my God, intellectually, I have no memory of how it works. And I just let my hands go. And it was the funniest thing. It was really freaky, like a Twilight Zone episode, because my hands knew really almost exactly what to do. It was the funniest thing. And that also made me glad that Lightwave kept a lot of its original heritage in there. Yeah. It's not even, I didn't even have to change any keyboard shortcut except for one, doesn't matter. But so what do I use? Make a box, stretch, extender plus, or what you call it.
Yeah.
Spin quad, of course. Yeah, spin quad and merge polygons, collapse polygons, very important. And that's basically almost like as a basic set, that would be it. Of course, drag point. And then after a while, because there were things I did forget, after a while came back the magnet tool, pole tool, and vortex. And those, then you're basically in essence all set to go crazy and you go nuts. You can go crazy, yeah. Use bridge too, but yeah. So but yeah, with that very, very small set of features, there's already no limit to what you can achieve with it. Seriously, there's no limit. You can do organic modeling, which I prefer, but even architectural things, even devices or whatever, there's no problem to model with just that. Of course, you know. By now, there's additional stuff in there that I don't even know of yet. I guess I didn't explore everything, but and there are things I remembered slowly, like the lathe tool and all that kind of stuff, and then the rail extender or whatever.
Sure.
Some things I had to look up; they didn't exist anymore. Like the background conform is something I used to use quite a bit.
That's the third-party tool.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, that was a third-party tool. I used to use it all the time. It's one of those things that I have on my list. To resurrect, bring back, or something.
You have this heat sink thing, which works well. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah. It's close. Have you? There are a lot of third-party tools that a lot of people swear by. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at any of them. One great group is from Japan, and they're the LW. I'm trying to think of their actual name. Third Powers is the name of the company. 3R, third as in 3RD, Third Powers. And they've got some great heat shrink, move, stretch, sculpt, smooth. We ought to find the time. I ought to show them to you. Well,
yes, why not?
See what you think of them.
Right now, I absolutely have not a single third-party tool in there. Like nothing. It's just pure Lightwave.
Pure Lightwave. Wow.
Fine. I mean, I'm starting to play. I'm starting to play around with Octane a little bit, which in essence would be third party, I suppose. But yeah, is it? I don't know what you call it. That's interesting, but I still have a lot to learn there. That's like a whole other world and totally different terminology, but powerful and feels good.
Yeah, sure does.
I have to play with that.
So you made the casual mention of phone doodle. My father used to draw some incredible little sketches on his notepad beside his telephone. So you do the same thing, but in the computer?
Yeah, except now I don't have a telephone anymore. I hate those things. So I call them telephone doodles, which, essentially is like let's just relax and instead of playing a stupid game, make something stupid. It's a kind of thing. Yeah, so there's that. And in the meantime, within these 13 years, I would write my own painter, of course, and then paint. Well, of course, no, I wrote my own painter, and then I would do paintings because it's real time. You don't have to wait for anything. And since I generally don't wait for inspiration either, hey, real time. And so that was that. And the work itself would inspire. That's again there. But when you program, that's probably what I would call the most important thing. If you actually if you paint and then you program a paint software, then whenever you whenever the wish emerges for a certain feature, well, then you try to write it. And with 3D, it used to be the same. When we, back in the day, wrote Messiah Studio, it was always that. It's like, oh, what do we want or what do we need? Oh, well, then we program it. And then, oops, that was that. Maybe I should rearrange my mind. So yeah. Yeah, so that's a powerful combination. And now that I'm back in doing 3D stuff, that it's a bit evil because, the modeling part gives me that same gratification of doodling. But then I'm so compelled now to animate everything. It's just way too much fun not to. And because Lightwave doesn't have like this nice kind of muscle bone system that I was used to, and I would animate faces and everything with muscle bones and would arrange that, I would have to resort back to morphs for like individual pieces. But it is so much fun. This is crazy, crazy fun when you just doodle a creature and then you start to animate it and it comes alive. And I remember that was what used to excite me the most. It was so exciting. And now that same excitement is back again. And this is priceless fun. But then comes the rendering. And rendering... Yeah. I mean, I love doing the shading. I don't love doing, all the preparational work, thinking up materials, thinking up lighting and all that, and camera and all that. But when it comes to render, and then you sit back and you basically see if you can let the machine run overnight, and that's when it becomes a bit tedious. But yeah, yes,
sure, and that's actually one of the reasons why we've done the partnership with Otoy and getting Octane as not necessarily as part of, but as close a working relationship as we can. There's, and of course we're not letting anything slide interior of Lightwave. I mean, we're working on we know we ourselves are users, so we know where things need to be. So.
Well, you buy yourself some time with Octane and with the Unreal Engine link, I know. But I'm on a Mac right now, which is the weirdest thing because my entire life I was basically and then somehow I had an M1 lying around, like one of those Apple Silicon
right
minis, and this thing makes no noise. And this is for me it was total revelation. It makes no noise. And so now I switched over to it and it performs beautifully normally. And why was I going there? So Unreal Engine, that's right. And so I installed Unreal Engine, 57 gigabytes of Unreal Engine, just to make a little test. But I don't know, on this old M1, it didn't perform well enough for me to justify sacrificing a fifth of the memory I have on that machine right now.
Yeah.
Maybe once I get an SSD and then I can look at it again. Sure. But yeah, so it was, yeah. And also when you look at Unreal Engine and then you think about Octane, the first thing that comes to my mind is Octane.
Right.
The Unreal Engine has like 1 billion features, but I don't even know how it is to work my old self into that again. So yeah, it's I'm not quite I don't quite know whether I'm ready for that journey, but yeah. Well, I hope that the internal render engine, gets.
Well, of course,
the juices going. Yeah,
it's one of those things that as we get more back into the systems and as again, as I say, we're users, so we know what we want to have, and of course, you know, that's a
Yeah,
driving
that's
force. That is totally a driving force. Um,
with the best foundation. Yeah.
I was thinking back, and I think I might remember that there was a visual effect that you did in a movie
Hmm.
that was a guy who got dissolved by acid. I don't remember the movie
Oh,
name itself.
oh God. Okay, that goes for a number of them. Uh, well, there was interesting question, right? There was one where in the I think in the Reeker or whatever there was
Reeker, yes, that was it.
after an accident. Yeah, there was the half of the
Half
face
of
missing and all that. Yeah.
yeah, you did that.
Oh yeah, that was fun. And but there was another one. There was another one for Ghost Rider. The second one, I think it was. There was a Sand Demon or something like that, and that was interesting too. Where I wrote a volume render engine for that would interact with the animating. Back then, it was with the animating character, and he would just start to appear out of sand and that kind of thing. That was fun too. But I think there was a lot of Messiah involved in that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did. I wrote in the very beginning shader plugins for Lightwave, but soon after, then it was all Messiah stuff.
sure.
Yeah, well, it was fun too. My goodness, volumetric translucency. That was for me a big revelation because then I would. What the heck? Then that was pre-subsurface scattering. And we had a commercial where there were fleas involved. And I thought, well, what makes the flea in a close-up interesting is that translucency, that what later would be subsurface scattering. And so that's when I wrote that for the first time. And that was super exciting. But yeah. And now when I look at Lightwave with that, oh God, what's that called again? The terms. The standard shading method.
The physically based rendering, the PBR.
Exactly. That's exactly. And I'm totally in love with that. It's so fun. It's slow as hell, but it's wonderful. Sorry. No, it's quite. No, as soon as you go subsurface scatter and you have your radiosity and all your kind of stuff going in GI.
Well, I think all of us who came from the Amiga remember when we first fired off Lightwave, right? And we maybe loaded up the Apple and we hit render, and 3 hours later we had what we would have to call a cell shaded Apple in front of us. Then we bought our first speed up board, and then we decided, hey, let's turn on shadows.
I once for my job back then. That's right. Nice that you remember me. Remind me. And that I did a cockpit. I did two different cockpits, like a futuristic one and kind of like a steampunk like looking one. Long before the term steampunk, so more like Jules Verne. And I made that with Lightwave, and it rendered for 16 hours, one frame, 16 hours. And back then, for me, that was like. And I remember it rendered for 16 hours and crashed at the last minute.
Oh.
This is those moments where basically all your blood goes straight to your toes. Yeah, it was fun. And everything was always under pressure. And then that's also why I stopped doing project work. I just, enough is enough. Live, you can have me back.
Right, right.
And but yeah. 16 hours for one frame. Dear God. I'm trying to remember whether we had situations like that in productions for Hollywood movies. 16 hours per frame. I think I don't remember that. It never happened again. Yeah. Maybe I am idealizing nostalgia. But yeah.
Well, I think I'm going to let you go.
Oh, that was a quick one.
Well, these are meant to be little things that
cool.
We are, what we are. I will ask you one last thing here, and of course we'll be editing, I'm sure. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary of having taken Lightwave back, and
Oh.
with May the 4th, and
It was May the 4th.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Be with you.
May
Very
the 4th.
cute.
May the 4th be with you is one of those things that that we did when we initially released.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yep. It's become a
I
thing.
missed that one.
Yeah, it's become a thing, and so here's the 1 year, Lightwave Digital, having had Lightwave, and of course we're looking forward to many more years. So
I keep pushing.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back in the light, back in using Lightwave. Looking forward to seeing everything that you've made, everything that you're going to make, and really looking forward to the video tutorials that you're talking about doing.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be wonderful. I think I know that a lot of our older Lightwavers certainly remember you with fondness in our hearts, and it's really great to start seeing some of the newer Lightwavers, rediscovering and seeing and meeting all the people who in the past helped make Lightwave what it is, and that they're coming back, and that they're still around, and that they're still using Lightwave too.
Yep, there's still a lot to love. And also, congratulations on the anniversary attack, of course, before we miss that one.
Excellent. We'll be talking, I'm sure. We'll be talking, I'm sure.
All right.
Have a good one. Have a good one.
You too. It was good seeing you.
Yep.